Hi, welcome to Love, Light, Inspire, the podcast. And today we're going to be talking about empty nest identity crisis or empty nest syndrome, as you might have heard, and why, when the kids leave home, do you feel lost and broken? And yeah, that's exactly how you feel. You can't describe it in any other way. And I'm going to give you a 3-step reset that brings you back to clarity. So you've just spent the last 25 years probably being mum, being the driver, the parent, of course, but the planner. You've been the cook. You were the warrior. You went out and fought in battles for your kids. You were the cheerleader who kept them going. You were the motivator. You did homework. You were the organizer and the emotional glue that held everything in your family together. And that's what we do as mums. So when your kids leave home or no longer need you in the same way that they did before, something really strange happens. Yep, the house gets quieter, but suddenly your mind gets louder and you will start thinking like this. I should be enjoying this time. I should be free. I'm now free. I can do whatever I want. But why do I feel so lost? Why do I feel so lonely? Why do I feel so empty? And why have I not got a purpose and a drive for what I used to do in life? So you feel untethered. You really do. You're unsure of your purpose and you don't quite know who you are because it's all changed. And I want you to hear this clearly. Nothing is wrong. This is absolutely perfect. This is your life stage. And today I'm going to explain why this empty nest identity crisis happens, why it feels so unsettling, and most importantly, how to reset your life. So, just gently and intentionally, so that the next chapter actually feels like you belong to it or it belongs to you. So, what's really happening on the inside? Most people think that empty nest syndrome is about missing your kids, but that's not the whole truth. What you're really experiencing is a collapse in your identity. For years, your sense of meaning came from being needed. Your days had structure because they just had to. Your decisions had purpose because you had to consider everybody else as well as yourself. And even when it was exhausting, you knew who you were being. And there was a part of you that was so satisfied with that exhaustion too. So when that role ends, the nervous system panics. It doesn't know what to do because underneath the role that you were playing changes. And there's a question that many women never ask when they were growing up. Who are you when no one needs you? And now all of a sudden, no one needs you. So that question really makes you feel uncomfortable. It even makes you feel frightened because you don't know the answer to it. So this isn't because you're weak, not at all, but because many women learned early on in life that being useful, helpful, and reliable was what kept them loved and safe. So when usefulness disappears, as it does when the kids leave home, you don't just miss your children, you miss yourself because your job is suddenly null and void. It's not needed anymore. So it might feel like you're going into a crisis within yourself. Well, you're not. This is a transition in your life that most of us have to go through. So let me say this really clearly. These feelings are not selfish, and it's not failure, and it's definitely not your hormones playing up. This is a natural transitional stage in life where the old ways of living no longer fits the mold of what's happening in your life now. And you're not meant to go back. You're meant to rebuild yourself, but not by filling every minute with busyness. That doesn't help. We can all be busy, 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 busy little bees, but it doesn't help because it's not filling who we are inside. By rebuilding your identity from the inside out, about knowing who you are and what you want. So there's 3 steps to the identity reset that I've established anyhow. So step 1 is notice the patterns that shaped you before all this happened. So you must be aware of what it was that shaped you. We don't want to fix it. We just want to be aware of it. So I want you to ask yourself, who was I rewarding? Who was I rewarding for being the way I was? And when did I learn to put my own needs last? That's a really interesting question. And what roles in life did I take on to keep everyone else comfortable and not worry about my own needs? So once you've sort of looked at all this, you suddenly realize and you'll discover for yourself that you're really, really strong. Never occurred to you that you were strong before. You're probably also the peacemaker. You're the one who gets in the middle and directs things, and you're the peacemaker between everybody in your family and your life. You're most definitely the organizer, the one who gets everybody organized and makes everything happen. Just think about Christmas for starters. And you're probably also the one that never asked for much. You probably went without so everyone else could have their needs met. Now, these weren't personality traits. They were survival strategies, and they helped you belong or feel like you belonged. They helped you to be needed by the ones you loved so much. They needed you to do these things for them. And they helped you cope as well. But strategies are not identities. They are not who you are. So when these patterns stop working and you are no longer needed, then your life feels empty. That emptiness is not a problem to solve. It really is information. It is information that you need to learn and discover about yourself. So step 2, you need to stop and create space for your life again. So this is when things shift from insight into action. So once the constant doing for others slows down, there is space, there is time. And the space doesn't need to be filled straight away because that space will feel uncomfortable if you're not used to having space. So instead of filling the space immediately, just being busy for the sake of being busy, I want to ask you, what have I always been curious about? What have I been passionate about in the past? And what did I love to do before I became a wife, a mum, a caregiver? What was it that you loved to do? Another question is, what did you put off until later? Oh, I don't have time for that now. I'll do it later. What was that thing that you really wanted to do, but there wasn't the time, there wasn't money, you didn't have that effort to be able to put into it that you really wanted to do that you put off to later and you've probably forgotten about now. And what feels interesting to you, even if it might feel a little bit silly to others, but what is your interest? What sparks you? This is where you need to get to consider new goals and opportunities for your life and how they come into being. So I want you to take it easy at this stage. So not just rush out and do 1,000 things. Let's just find you, who you are and what you like, because you probably don't even realize what you like anymore. So don't rush into huge goals and opportunities. No pressure-filled ones. Definitely not, as they may not be what you really want to do now. They may have been what you wanted to do years ago, but you've changed and they may not be what you want to do now. So start by making simple, intentional choices that make you explore life and your passions. So, take a class. Learn something just because you want to learn it. Join a walking group or a book club and meet people outside the family and family responsibilities. Maybe even volunteer for a cause that you care about. So if you're passionate about something, go and do some volunteer work and revisit a hobby that you abandoned years ago. So purpose doesn't arrive in one big light bulb moment. You don't suddenly go, oh, I know what I want to do. It doesn't work like that. You try different things and you think, oh, yes, yes. Oh, I'd like to do more of that. I'm not enjoying that anymore. So it returns in small moments of aliveness. Oh, you don't need to know where this leads yet. You just need to start choosing for you and exploring all the options that are available for you, especially the ones that you haven't done for a long time. Now, the third step that is also really, really important is strengthening connections and seeking support from people. So it's really important that this stage isn't overlooked. So when the parenting role fades, many women realize their relationships shrink too, because your bond and connection with people was the kids, was the sport. It was, the husband's work. It was something. When it all disappears, and let's say he retires, you're suddenly left saying, who's left for me? And we don't have that bond anymore. So friendships pause and social lives centered around the kids, emotional support and others, they just stop. And now you're left sitting there going, oh, my friends have dried up. We don't have anything in common anymore. So you need to build new friends. So now is the time to rebuild your connections with others very intentionally. So it might look like reconnecting with old friends, school friends, even. Deepening the relationship you have with your partner in new ways. That's another one. Sometimes you and your husband may have been ships in the night as you're ferrying kids here, taking them there, and you've lost the connection between the two of you. And now it is the two of you. It is that time to focus on your relationship together, doing things that you both love, not family stuff anymore. So spending time with your family as an adult and not as the caregiver is also different. When you can talk about your hobbies to your kids, gives them a different perspective and take on you. So joining groups where you are seen and not just the mum is really, really important. So you do not have to do this alone. Talk to a trusted friend, especially ones that are going through the same stage as you, which is why school friends are great. School reunions are fantastic because you're probably all at the same stage of life. And you'd be really surprised at how many people are going through exactly the same things as you're going through. Join support groups or work with a therapist, a counsellor who understands the identity transition that you're going through. And support isn't weakness. It really isn't. It's really strength and a great way for you to get going at a much quicker pace than what you would if you're working through it yourself. So it's how we learn new ways of being without sliding back into old patterns. And sometimes you don't need answers. You just need to reflect. Give yourself different perspective and permission to try new things. And then reframe the way that you used to think and talk about things. And that's what a therapist can help you do, or a counsellor. So why this stage can feel so emotional? Because transition often stirs up grief. And it is grief. It's a loss. It's a loss of your old identity. Not just grief for the children growing up, but grief for the life that you thought that would come after you did everything right. And that grief is real. And it doesn't mean that you're ungrateful. And it doesn't mean that you just want to move on and forget the past. It means that you're honest. So let it be there. Feel it. Because underneath grief is truth. And underneath truth is freedom. So there is a deeper shift when women move through this stage consciously. Something powerful happens. They stop living from their old expectations and stop shrinking so they belong in the group, and they start trusting themselves again. They begin choosing from desire instead of obligation. That's how real confidence returns. Not loud confidence, but grounded confidence, because you've learnt who you are, you've learnt what you believe, and you've also learnt what you stand for, and you know what you want. So if you feel lost right now, I want you to hear this. You're not behind, you're not broken, and you have not missed your chance. You are standing at the doorway of a new chapter of your life. One where you get to ask, what feels true for me now? What do I want this next season of my life to look like? And who am I becoming? This isn't about going back to where you were before, because we can't do that. It's about coming home to who you are now, in this moment, at this point of time. And your real life doesn't begin with filling your house again. It begins the moment you choose yourself and you fill your inner house. I have a community on School, SKOOL, called the Change Makers. If you'd like to join us and join in the conversation and join the community, it's a whole community where you can talk to other people. The link will be below. Please come and join us.